Don't lie, we always just go up to a tank, bro, and then we kiss it. And then the tank goes, BAH! Reapers, what's is good? It's your boy Laser. He's about to get another reaction video. He's on reaction content. So can you do that? He's in the 5 biggest and scariest tanks ever built. Guys, there's so many tanks out there that go boom, 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 boom. Or that's trying to do reaction content. You guys want more reaction videos like this feature? It's simply hit the like button. You subscribe to the notification bell icon. I'll stream every day on Twitch. Go check out the streams, fucking amazing. Also check out my music, step on all platforms. Let's dive straight in this video.
𝐶2C. The French saw the first British tanks and were immediately impressed, thus their leadership demanded their own machines. The first French tank, the Schneider CA1, had a poor start to the war.
Imagine just seeing a tank, bro, just go down your local street and then it just like blows you up like that. You know what I'm saying?
But later tanks, such as the Renault FT, was both revolutionary and successful. Learning from these experiences, the French began work on a new type that would be built in 3 distinct classes, each heavier than the last, culminating in a 69-ton vehicle known as the 𝐶2C. The project met heavy political resistance, delaying it and resulting in the cancellation of the 2 smaller models, until only the 69-ton 𝐶2C was left. 10 were built, entering service in 1921, and these were truly gargantuan machines, standing at nearly 13.5 feet tall and 33.8 feet long. Compare this to the US Army's current tank, the M1A2 Abrams, which stands at just 8 feet tall and 26 feet long. The tank had a crew of 12, including 3 in the turret, who aimed and fired the 75mm gun. Another turret was at the rear, housing a Hotchkiss machine gun, while 3 more machine guns were located on the sides and the front of the hull. Armor was thick for the
That's right, bro. War photos go so hard. War photos indeed go hard.
time, but this advantage would deteriorate as tanks became better armed in the 1930s. Some of the 10 tanks were modified over time to trial new weapons and armor, but by the time war broke out again in 1939, they were hopelessly outclassed by newer German anti-tank guns. They did, however, create an excellent impression on the French public, and were used in morale-boosting propaganda.
What the fuck was behind it? Did someone just get like run? Y'all saw it? Wait, I was blocking it. There was like some, I don't know what just happened. I think the thing ran over something. What the fuck?
Where they appeared to be invulnerable mobile fortresses.
I think the people were trying to like hijack the tank. What the fuck? You guys can't see because I'm blocking it, but...
And all but one would be destroyed by the French as defeat neared. The survivor was taken back to Germany as a war trophy, where it disappeared in the chaos of the end of the Third Reich.
Chaos! Nice.
Tiger II. Germany's tank forces were a mixed bag in the late 1930s, consisting of mainly lighter vehicles and a few medium types, and their success in 1939 and 1940 was thanks largely to superior tactics. However, German engineers were working on newer types that would unquestionably dominate the battlefield as early as 1937, resulting in the Tiger I, which entered the fray in 1942. This spectacular vehicle, with its heavy armour and 88mm gun, outperformed virtually every Allied tank at the time, and remained a significant threat until the end of the war.
Thanks.
But the Germans were not satisfied with this success, and began work on the Tiger II.
Those Germans sure want those Jews dead. As the boy in the striped pajamas, please just burn me, bro. Please put me on my suffering. I don't want to be here anymore. Laser, is your mental health good? No, it's not. It's good. I just don't want to be here. Like, it's not like depression type. I don't want to be here. I just like, it's kind of like fed up. I don't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate
An
the
even
world. I
better
don't wanna be
protected
here.
version,
like, not
which could take
you know
on
what I'm saying?
superior numbers of the enemy's best tanks with confidence. A consequence of this was a significantly increased size and weight, being just under 70 tons. Known as the King Tiger to the Allies, the new tank entered service in late 1944, and its impact was immediately felt. But while it could destroy nearly everything it encountered, it was extremely cumbersome and slow. In the fast-moving battlefield, it was actually left behind by the main force on several occasions, allowing it to be overwhelmed or destroyed by air power. But when it was expected to hold territory, it was a truly lethal obstacle to the Allies. It may not be the largest tank on this list, nor the most heavily armed or protected, but without doubt, it had the greatest impact on the battlefield.
Imagine just being run over by a tank, bro. Well, imagine being run over in general. Don't lie, guys. We all like being turned into blueberry pancake.
The TOG 1 and 2. When war with Germany loomed again in the late 1930s, the Western Allies anticipated another great static conflict across the fields of Europe. In July 1939, the British set up the Special Vehicle Committee. That included many of those who designed the original Mark I tank to conceive of new tanks to breach enemy trenches and fortifications, and this resulted in the 80-ton TOG 1. TOG meaning the old gang, in reference to the veteran tank designers. The older thinking in tank design was obvious. The track ran the entire circumference of the hull, and it could reach just 8.7 miles per hour, while it carried its main 75mm gun in the forward hull. Although a turret was located on top with a 2-pounder gun, it was more heavily armoured than most British and German tanks of their period, however. The secondary prototype was redesigned with a reduced track diameter that no longer ran over the top of the tank, and a few other minor changes, becoming the TOG 2.
Is that Wally?
Unfortunately for the project,
Wally was a tank,
the fighting in the Second World War...
Technically, Wally looked like a tank. I mean, he was a tank in a way. He was like a miniature tank, you know? I'm kidding, he was a robot. Doy, but he had like, you know... He was a...
was anything but static. And it was thanks to the smaller, medium tanks working in conjunction with air and artillery support, breaking quickly through defensive lines and capturing objectives. Work soon slowed on the TOG tanks and ceased altogether in 1943. The TOG 1 was scrapped, but the TOG 2 can be seen today at the Bovington Tank Museum.
Imagine being in a museum, bro, and like you just put your head in front of a tank and all the tank just blows you up. Like it still it still has like ammo and shit in it, bro. Like, you just, like, imagine just going to some tank in, like, some museum or area, some tourist war site, and then that tank just goes, what the fuck?
T-28 Super Heavy Tank. As the French constructed the Maginot Line during the 1930s to protect them from Nazi Germany, Hitler ordered that his forces should do the same in case the Maginot Line emboldened the French to attack first. Dubbed the West Wall by the Germans, it was known as the Siegfried Line, and over time became an extremely dense network of fortifications and tank obstacles. As the Allies planned the invasion of Europe, it became clear that after liberating France, they would have to face this immense defensive barrier, and this led to proposals to develop a new tank specifically to breach it. The US Army and Ordnance Departments met in March 1944 to finalise the tank design, which was then given to the Pacific Car and Foundry Company to manufacture. The resulting T-28 Super Heavy tank was a Goliath of a vehicle, weighing in at 86 tons. It featured a distinctive double set of tracks on
I swear, all these tanks look the exact same. Also, I'm kind of not paying attention to the video. I mean, I am, but like my ADHD, or I feel like I have ADHD, I don't know. I'd be dazing on, but my brain cells just be, I don't know, I think I'm just not all there. That too. I'd just be like...
Either side of the hull was armed with a 105mm gun, when regular US tanks had a 75mm gun, and was exceptionally heavily armoured to withstand persistent enemy fire. The downsides of all of this was that the gun had to be mounted in the hull, meaning the tank had to turn to aim it, and its mobility was appalling, being able to reach just 8 miles per hour. Nevertheless, it could have proven useful in breaching the Siegfried Line, had the Allies not already done so by the time testing was complete. It was then planned to be used to storm the Japanese home islands, but the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki put an end to that goal. Only 2 vehicles were ever completed before the project was deemed obsolete and abandoned.
Number 1.
The Panzer VIII Maus. During World War II, the Germans were far more enthusiastic about super heavy tanks than their Allied counterparts. By 1943, they were becoming increasingly outnumbered on the battlefield, and super heavy tanks seemed to be the answer, since they could in theory destroy large numbers of smaller and less armoured vehicles, and break through enemy lines to achieve strategic goals. One of the German proponents of these tanks was Ferdinand Porsche, who would later become famous for his sports cars. He conceived...
Sport cars, they existed back then? Well, motherfuckers driving Lamborghinis back then. Well, technically, the first Lamborghini came out in like what? 19. The first Lamborghini came out in like 1920, right? Was there a Lamborghini that was on board of the Titanic? You know how cruise ships be taking cars on them sometimes? Was the Titanic? Did it have a Lamborghini on it? I know my history.
Conceived of a tank mounting a 128mm gun in a rotating turret that could outrange and destroy any allied tank then in service.
I study all my shit.
The tank would also be exceptionally heavily armoured, to such an extent that it would be almost invulnerable to enemy tank formations, many times its number. Originally called the Mammoth, or Mammoth,
the woolly mammoth
received the name Mouse. Although weighing in as a colossal 180 tons, it was anything but small. In fact, it remains the heaviest armoured fighting vehicle of all time, although this made it too heavy to cross many of Europe's bridges, which would cause serious problems when it came to deploying it to the front. As a result, it was designed to ford rivers, with the crew being fed oxygen via a long snorkel. Armour on the Mouse was over twice as thick as on the earlier Tiger I tank, which was already greatly feared by Allied tank crews, and as well as the 128mm gun, it also featured an additional 75mm gun. The first prototype, minus the turret, was completed in December 1943, and the second with a turret and new engine in June 1944.
We're going to war, boys.
Testing was extensively carried out at the Boblingen test facility, the results of which were considered generally satisfactory. Although the first prototype had suspension issues, while the second had reliability problems with the engines, it was understandably even more awkward than the King Tiger to manoeuvre, and was only half as fast. Work continued on several other prototypes before the war took its toll on the project, and they were cancelled before being destroyed to prevent their capture by the Soviets.
Tanks, what the fuck? Ooh.
The two working prototypes were ordered to assist in the defence of Wunsdorf, but were subsequently damaged by explosive charges placed on them by the Germans, when they had to abandon them. The Soviets recovered the wrecks and salvaged the turrets from the second vehicle to fit on the first prototype for a series of trials in 1946. Afterwards, the hybrid tank was put on display at the 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 Museum, where it remains today.
Tanks!
There have been stories that a third Mouse was completed and fought in action against American M18 Hellcats.
Guys, we all just don't lie, we all just go to a tank, bro, and then we kiss it. And then the tank goes
where it was destroyed and then buried, but this has never been confirmed.
That's normal,
Just
right?
how affected the Mouse was.
We all have romance with tanks. That's normal, right? Guys, I have a pet tank. His name is Roberto. Hey, Roberto, blow me up, okay?
Of being in combat has long been the subject of debate amongst military historians, but it cannot be denied that it was a truly amazing piece of military engineering. So that's 5 of the biggest.
Well, guys, if this video, hope you enjoyed it. Which one of the scary tanks ever built was the most scary? Do you enjoy scary content? You want scary features to do? See you next one. Peace.